Jinwoo, an S-rank hunter, finds himself in a dangerous situation deep within an infested cave. After rescuing Cha Hae-in, who is gravely injured, he orders the cameraman to stop recording due to the horrific sight of Min Byung-gu's body, which has been gruesomely mutilated by the ants. Jin Wu faces a moral dilemma about whether to use his shadow soldier ability to revive Byung-gu, knowing it would turn him into an undead servant. Despite his reservations, Jin Wu decides to summon Byung-gu as a shadow soldier, seeing it as the only way to save Cha Hae-in. Jinwoo first summoning fails, but after gathering his determination, he succeeds. A dark figure, the Shadow Soldier, emerges and begins to heal Cha Hae-in with powerful magic. She quickly recovers and her wounds heal rapidly. Once she is stable, Jinwoo cancels the summoning, not wanting to keep Byung-gu in the form of an undead soldier, out of respect for his sacrifice. With the immediate danger over, Jinwoo leads the exhausted group of hunters out of the cave. The remaining ants have scattered, and the threat has been neutralized. Jinwoo ensures that Cha Hae-in is safely taken care of before allowing her to be flown out by helicopter. However, Jinwoo stays behind to finish the job and deal with the remaining ants still on the island. As Baek Yunasamo asks about Jinwoo's powers, he learns that Jinwoo no longer controls the Shadow Soldier. Meanwhile, Matsumoto, the head of the Japanese Hunter Association, watches the events unfold on TV. He is furious at his own failure to recognize Jinwoo's strength and realizes that his country has missed an opportunity. He resolves to find a way to bring Jinwoo to Japan to help restore the Japanese Hunter Association's strength. In the United States, David Brannon, head of the Hunter Bureau, watches a video showing Jinwoo's powers. The video leaves him stunned, and he begins to realize that Jinwoo's abilities are a game changer. As Jinwoo continues his mission on the island, he reflects on the journey ahead, knowing that more challenges are waiting for him. After watching a video about a recent raid in an eastern country, David Brannon, the head of the U.S. Hunter Bureau, is left stunned. The deputy director asks for his opinion, but Brannon sharply responds, already knowing what the deputy thinks. Their late-night meeting in the kitchen is unusual, but they quickly focus on Sung Jin-woo, the hunter from the video. Brannon is impressed with Jin-woo's abilities, stating he's too talented to be wasted in South Korea. The deputy director presents a file containing all the information they have on Jinwoo, and Brannon is pleased with how quickly they gathered the data. This was thanks to a previous case involving Sung Il-won, a mysterious entity that turned out to be a hunter from South Korea. This gave the U.S. a head start ahead of other countries. The deputy director begins summarizing Jinwoo's background. He didn't receive adequate compensation from South Korea, and he had to face life-threatening situations to cover his mother's hospital bills before recently awakening. The deputy director adds that Jin Wu hasn't joined any guilds, which surprises Brannon. They discuss the potential consequences of recruiting him, as it could cause chaos with South Korea, a longtime ally. Despite this, the deputy director is enthusiastic about the possibility, and Brannon, although cautious, tells him to do whatever it takes to bring Jinwoo to the US. Meanwhile, Jinwoo, riding Kaisel, hunts the remaining ants on Jeju Island. He hopes to level up by defeating the ants, aiming for level 100. His goal is to improve his shadow extraction skill before attempting to summon the Ant King's shadow, which he knows will be more difficult due to its greater magical power. Jinwoo discovers the bodies of Japanese hunters, some decapitated, killed by something stronger than the ants. He suspects the Ant King is responsible. Searching further, he senses the presence of Ryuji Goto, but his body is missing, likely consumed by the Ant King. Jinwoo confirms that no more ants are remaining on the island and feels disappointed that he hasn't reached level 100 yet. After sensing a large number of magical creatures nearby, Jinwoo's spirits lift. He orders Kaisel to land, and they discover a massive egg chamber filled with moving eggs. Jinwoo plans to use his shadow mages to destroy the eggs, which will likely give him enough experience to level up. The shadow mages, led by Tusk, fire massive fireballs to burn the eggs. As the eggs disintegrate, Jinwoo notices the presence of developing ants with wings. He realizes the threat they pose if they mature and sail across the sea with the Ant King. However, he's here to stop the catastrophe. Jinwoo then uses the Demon King's sword instead of his dagger to destroy the eggs. The sword releases a blue light and powerful sparks, burning the eggs efficiently. After finishing the task, Jinwoo levels up and heads to the Ant King's chamber. He stands next to the corpse, excited by the idea of summoning such a powerful magical creature. Jinwoo knows the importance of staying calm when attempting to extract the shadow of a high-level creature, having learned from his previous failure. He takes a deep breath, calms himself, and prepares to summon the Ant King's shadow. With focused determination, he extends his hand toward the black smoke rising from the Ant King's body and commands, "Rise." When the raid was taking place in the cave, the light from the magic orb cast by Choi Jong-in flickered and suddenly went out, plunging the cave into darkness. At first, Jinwoo thought the spell had expired, but he quickly realized that a spell created by an S-rank mage, crucial for the success of such a dangerous raid, couldn't end so quickly. He wondered if his recently used shadow extraction skill had affected the spell. Soon after, the cave was filled with a bright light, and the Ant King appeared before Jinwoo, causing him to step back in shock. The system notification confirmed that the shadow extraction was successful. Jinwoo sighed in relief, realizing that this was not the actual Ant King, but its shadow. Although the shape was similar, the shadow was made of pure darkness and emitted swirling black smoke. Jinwoo noted that the shadow seemed stronger than the original Ant King. A powerful flow of mana poured from the shadow, exciting Jinwoo as he saw the potential of having the Ant King as a shadow warrior.
After checking the information, he saw that the Shadow's rank was General, an unprecedented rank, much stronger than any Shadow he had in his army. The Shadow knelt before him, pledging loyalty. Jinwoo was satisfied, as absolute loyalty was a default trait in all Shadow soldiers. He then turned to look at the Queen Ant's body, ready to proceed with extracting its shadow. Suddenly, a rough, hoarse voice came from behind Jinwoo, making his heart race. He turned to find that there was no one behind him except for the shadow of the Ant King. The shadow opened its mouth and asked for a name, which surprised Jinwoo. Meanwhile, the scene shifts to the South Korean hunters flying back to Seoul on a helicopter. Go Gun-hee, the president of the Hunter Association, anxiously waits by the landing area. As the helicopter lands, he rushes forward to open the door and looks inside, asking about Cha Hae-in's condition. The hunters around Cha Hae-in, still unconscious, are worried. The two healers rush in as ordered, but are confused when they find no serious injuries on her. They explain that Cha Hae-in's condition is stable, and that she was healed by a magic of immense power, which leaves Go Gun-hee puzzled. He recalls how critical her condition appeared during the live broadcast, and wonders what happened during the time the cameras were off. He also recalls the tragedy that befell the healer Min Byung-gu, and questions the raid leader Ma Don-wook. The conversation shifts as the healers confirm that Cha Hae-in does not need treatment. Meanwhile, Go Gun-hee wonders about son Jin Woo's whereabouts. Bae-yoon-hoo informs him that Jin Wu stayed behind on Jeju Island to finish some tasks, which surprises Go Gun-hee even more. He wonders why Jin Wu didn't return with the team. Back with Jin Wu, he continues his conversation with the Ant King's shadow, Burr. Jin Wu learns that Burr can speak because it was reborn through his power. This is a unique characteristic of high-ranking shadow soldiers, as they can communicate with their master once they reach a certain rank, like Burr's general rank. Jinwoo is excited and names the shadow Burr, which Burr accepts with gratitude. Jinwoo then proceeds to extract the shadow of the Queen Ant. However, when the shadow is summoned, it is much weaker than expected, due to the Queen's mana being depleted for reproduction. Jinwoo decides to cancel the extraction, as the Queen's shadow would not be useful to him. Jinwoo collects a mana stone from Burr's body and stores it in his inventory, taking only one stone to use for the restoration of Jeju Island, not because he is in need. He then calls Kaesal and prepares to leave the island. As he flies off, Jinwoo reflects that the nightmare on Jeju Island has finally come to an end.
Jinwoo arrived at the Hunter Association headquarters, with Kaizo, his dark wyvern, landing gracefully in front of the building. As the massive creature landed, dust and debris were blown into the air, attracting the attention of nearby hunters. Some of them, already on duty, rushed out with weapons in hand, but were stunned when they saw Jinwoo descending from the wyvern. They had witnessed his strength on TV broadcasts, so seeing him with such a powerful monster, while shocking, wasn't entirely unexpected. Jinwoo approached an assistant familiar with the Hunter Association, asking to meet with the president. It was rare to see the president without an appointment, But given Jin Woo's recent heroic actions, the assistant quickly agreed. The president, Go Gun-hee, was at the hospital, attending to the recovery of Cha Hae-in, but he promised to contact him soon. Meanwhile, at the hospital, Gun-hee was anxiously waiting for news on Cha Hae-in's recovery. The doctor was baffled by how quickly she had recovered from what seemed like fatal injuries. After hearing about her miraculous healing, Gun-hee realized that Jin Woo had likely played a significant role, possibly by using the magic of a deceased healer to heal her. Gun-hee was also startled to learn that Jin Woo's mother, previously thought to be dead due to a terminal condition, had suddenly woken up and was fully recovered, a miracle that had occurred at the hospital. The news led Gun-hee to reflect on Jin Woo's loyalty and priorities. Realizing that Jin Woo had stayed behind to ensure his mother's health instead of joining the raid on Jeju Island. The revelation left Gun-hee amazed at Jin Woo's selflessness. Just as he was reflecting on this, his secretary informed him that there were difficulties contacting Min Byung-gu's family. Min Byung-gu had been killed during the raid, and his mother had been contacted by the association where she had learned the truth of his son's death. Gun-hee decided to personally visit her and express his condolences. However, his moment of reflection was interrupted when the secretary informed him that Jin Woo was waiting to see him. Surprised, Gun-hee immediately instructed the secretary to let him in. In the president's office, Jin Woo was greeted and asked if he wanted a drink, but he declined. Realizing how thirsty he was after the brutal battles, he was glad for a brief moment of calm. As the meeting began, Gun-hee asked about Jin Woo's miraculous control over the dark monsters and how he had used them during the Jeju Island raid. He was particularly interested in Jin Woo's ability to summon Kaizal and other monsters, as well as his ability to control powerful creatures like the Queen Ant and the King Ant's shadow. Jin Woo explained that he had cleared the Jeju Island ants, and Gun-hee was astonished. He was grateful to Jin Woo, as this meant they could recover Min Byung-gu's body from the Queen Ant's nest. Gun-hee expressed his deep gratitude for Jin Woo's actions. Meanwhile, at a luxury hotel in Korea, Thomas, a world-renowned hunter, watched the Jeju Island raid video repeatedly, reflecting on his thoughts about Jin Woo. He discussed Jin Woo's past and his potential involvement with Hwang Dong-soo, a mysterious figure who might have a connection to Jin Woo's past. Thomas considered the possible repercussions of a confrontation between Hwang and Jin Woo, especially given Hwang's motivations and his thirst for revenge. Jin Woo declined an offer from Go Gun-hee to take a ride in the association's car, but Go Gun-hee insisted, suggesting it would be easier. When Jin Woo approached a window, he was shocked to see a massive crowd gathered outside the Hunter Association building. The news of his arrival had spread quickly, likely due to his earlier appearance on the Wyvern, Kaisel, and social media. Jin Woo had no idea the crowd had gathered just to see him, but he felt the weight of their gaze as they stood in awe of his presence. Go Gun-hee explained that the public was ecstatic about his victory in the Jeju Island raid, and Jin Woo had become a hero.
Despite his reluctance, Go Gun-hee urged him to at least greet the people. Jinwoo stepped outside and the crowd went silent, reverently watching him. His battle-worn attire with bloodstains only added to his heroic image, and no one mocked him. The atmosphere was filled with a deep sense of gratitude, and everyone bowed their heads in respect. As Jinwoo made his way to the car, an elderly man suddenly emerged from the crowd, his face wet with tears. He expressed his deep gratitude to Jinwoo, thanking him for allowing his son to rest in peace. Moved by the elderly man's words, Jinwoo stopped to help him, and Go Jin-chul, the head of the bodyguard team, hurriedly warned Jinwoo to leave quickly as the crowd was still growing. After being escorted into the car, Jinwoo could feel the overwhelming respect and admiration from the citizens. As the car moved away, Jinwoo glanced out of the window, silently reflecting on his impact. Meanwhile, the news of Jinwoo's actions during the raid had caused a stir online. People were discussing his strength and the heroic feat he had accomplished. His name became the subject of widespread admiration, with some even questioning how someone could become so powerful from being an E-rank hunter. Though some criticized his early withdrawal from the raid, many supported him for saving the day. 2 days later, the military and hunters arrived on Jeju Island to retrieve the body of Min Byung-gu. The Knights Guild, which had not participated,
Jinwoo declined the offer to be chauffeured by the association, and Go Gun-hee insisted, suggesting it would be easier for him. When Jinwoo looked outside the window, he saw a large crowd gathered at the entrance of the Hunter Association building. The news of his arrival had spread quickly, likely due to his appearance with Kaizul, the wyvern, which had been captured on social media. People were excited to see him, and Go Gun-hee mentioned that the public was craving a hero's victory. After some persuasion, Jinwoo stepped outside, and the crowd fell silent, gazing at him in awe. Despite his battle-worn appearance, no one mocked him, and many bowed in respect. Jinwoo made his way to the car, but an elderly man suddenly approached him, thanking him for allowing his son to rest in peace. Moved by the man's words, Jinwoo helped him, and the bodyguards quickly ushered him to the car, urging him to leave before the crowd grew more unruly. The news of Jinwoo's actions during the Jeju raid had gone viral online, and people discussed his strength and abilities. Though some criticized him for stepping away earlier, many hailed his heroism. Meanwhile, the Knights Guild arrived on Jeju Island to retrieve Min Byung-gu's body, and they were in awe of the devastation Jinwoo had wrought on the ant nest. They marveled at how he had wiped out every single one, with no survivors. The guild members, familiar with magical creatures, were stunned by the sight. Back in Seoul, Go Gun-hee discussed Jinwoo's unusual abilities, particularly his power to command dead beasts. Jinwoo's actions, from clearing the ant nest to the way he had managed Kaizul, had elevated his status. Even as he tried to avoid the spotlight, the public's admiration for him grew. 2 days later, the military and hunters were sent to retrieve Min Byung-gu's body from Jeju Island. The Knights Guild, which had been hesitant to participate in the raid, volunteered.
Jinwoo finds a glowing black key in his storage called the Cartenon Temple key. which grants access to a new area called the Cartenon Temple. This is a reward he received after reaching level 100. The system has activated a mission related to the key, and Jin Wu cannot avoid this fate. He begins preparing for the journey to the Cartenon Temple, which holds terrifying memories from his previous raid. While thinking about this trip, Jin Wu also faces the task of establishing his guild. Yu Jin Ho, who is helping Jin Wu with social media matters, feels the pressure of protecting Jin Wu's reputation. He is also curious about the guild's name and comes up with a few ideas, but he does not receive a direct answer from Jin Wu. In the end, Jin Wu suggests the name Solo Play, which surprises Yu Jin Ho, but also makes him feel relieved that Jin Wu is not as perfect as he once thought. The funeral of hunter Min Byung-gu is held publicly after many people express their desire to pay respects. While the funeral is ongoing, people continue searching for Jin Wu, and when he finally appears, the crowd begins to buzz with excitement.
Jin Wu receives a Cartenon Temple key from the system, an item with new information he has never seen before. This key opens a new area and can only be used at a specific gate. A countdown timer shows 417 hours remaining before the gate can be accessed. Upon realizing the horrifying memories of the Cartenon Temple, where he faced challenging trials, Jin Wu feels anxious, but understands that he cannot avoid this call from the system. He decides to prepare for the return, even though it brings back painful memories of the death of his teammates and himself. Jin Wu also checks his inventory. He has completed the set of Demon King's accessories, including the Demon King's ring, earrings, and necklace, which enhance his stats. Reaching level 100 unlocked the task related to the Cartenon Temple key, and Jin Wu realizes that this is an opportunity to continue to take risks and increase his power. While concerned about this return, Jin Wu also has other plans, such as forming a guild. Surprised and somewhat confused by the privileges of an A-class hunter, Jin Wu decides to meet Yu Jin Ho to discuss the guild formation. But after arriving at the office, he quickly realizes that Jin Wu must move on to more important matters. Yu Jin Ho, after hours of work, has been putting his heart and soul into protecting Jin Wu's reputation online and discussing guild names. He suggests several names, but Jin Wu simply replies that the guild name could be Solo Play, a simple idea that also reflects Jin Wu. Jin Wu meets Adam White, a specialist from the U.S. Federal Bureau of Hunting, FBH, who arrives with an offer of U.S. citizenship and shares some special information. Adam reveals that FBH can upgrade Jin Wu's abilities, helping him surpass his current limits with the assistance of a unique awakened individual named Norma Selner, who has the ability to increase the power of other awakened individuals. Upon hearing about this ability, Jin Wu is initially skeptical, But after learning that Mrs. Sellner can increase strength by 20 to 30%, he becomes more interested. The FBH deputy director also promises that if Jinwoo agrees to become a US citizen, he will receive priority assistance from Mrs. Sellner and enjoy other perks from FBH. However, Jinwoo does not hastily accept the offer and requests confirmation before proceeding. Eventually, Mrs. Sellner appears and begins the upgrade process. But just as she is about to start, she suddenly begins to tremble. This raises Jinwoo's concern about the truth and stability of the offer from FBH.